Friends, today I am going to explain the 2019 survival science fiction film, Exit. The story shows that a deadly gas is released in the city, which becomes a threat to human lives. But why is this done? Let's find out through the story. The story begins with Lee Young, a young man who did not have a job, so he stayed at his parents' house. Back in his college days, he was once the leader of a climbing group, and Lee had won several tournaments in this field. Despite having so much talent, getting a job was a huge challenge for him. Wherever he applied for jobs, he only faced rejection. His nephew and sister always made him realize that he would never get a job, which made him feel bad. Now, it's his mother's 78th birthday, and Lee and his sister wanted to celebrate it well. Lee suggested to his sister that they should celebrate it at a very good hotel named Cloud Garden. His sister agreed. So the next day, on their mother's birthday, they went to the Cloud Garden Hotel. There were other relatives as well. Since Lee didn't have a job, almost everyone was taunting him, which he didn't like at all. The fact was, Lee was looking for someone. Suddenly, a waitress appeared, and seeing her made Lee very happy. This waitress was named Ui, who had once studied with Lee in the same class, and was also a rock climber like him. However, they had not spoken in the last 5 years. Lee used to like Ui a lot, which was the reason he insisted on celebrating his mother's birthday at this hotel, because he already knew Ui worked there. Lee was very happy to see her, as he had been looking for her all along. Ui was also surprised to see him. Then they both went outside to talk. While talking, Ui asked what he was doing these days. Lee lied to her, saying that he worked as a manager in a big company, because he didn't want to tell her the truth that he was unemployed. Meanwhile, Ui's boss called her over. He always used to flirt with Ui, which she didn't like, but since this hotel belonged to her father, Ui could not go against him. She feared that if she refused him, she might lose her job. In the next scene, we saw a truck stopping in the middle of the city. From inside, a man came out and unscrewed the bulbs of the truck, releasing a poisonous gas that began spreading throughout the city. This gas was extremely lethal, so whoever came in contact with it started suffocating. Many people across the city started dying. Panic spread everywhere, and people were running to save their lives. Suddenly, a burning car crashed into the hotel, causing an explosion. Lee, who was celebrating his mother's birthday with his family and was unaware of the outside situation, got terrified. He and his family rushed outside to see chaos everywhere. People were running to save themselves, and the poisonous gas was rapidly moving toward them. Ui suggested that everyone should go upstairs to the higher floors of the hotel, so everyone went in. But Lee noticed his elder sister was late to enter, and she was sitting in a car outside. He asked her to come quickly toward them. As his sister was running, she fell, and instantly after coming in contact with the poisonous gas, she started losing her memory. Lee held his breath, rushed toward her, carried her on his shoulder, and brought her inside the hotel. Though her life was saved, she was still struggling to breathe. Lee called an ambulance, but he was told that ambulance services were entirely shut down, and only helicopters were operational. Then, Lee and Ui looked outside to see that the poisonous gas was spreading across the city like a fog, rising upward. Lee told everyone that they must reach the rooftop somehow, but since his sister couldn't walk in that condition, Lee made a stretcher out of curtains and carried her up together with his companions. When they reached the top, they realized that the rooftop door was locked and the only key was kept at the reception below. Looking down from upstairs, they saw the reception was entirely filled with gas, which meant going there was like walking into death. Then, on one of the floors, they saw the news on television, where it was announced that the gas had spread everywhere in the city, and if anyone had protective masks, they should use them to save their lives. Also, if anyone came in contact with the gas, they should inhale slowly, as that way, life could be prolonged for 15 minutes. Fortunately, they found 3 masks there, but they still needed to get the key from the reception so they could unlock the door and reach the rooftop, where they could be rescued. Lee was confused until he noticed that in front of their building was another building. He planned that if he reached the other building first, then he could climb to their hotel's rooftop from outside and unlock the door from outside as well, since that door could be opened from both sides. Lee broke the glass window of the hotel and tied a rope around his body. Being a former rock climber in college, he knew all the techniques to cross to another building. His family tried to stop him, warning how risky it was, but Lee didn't care. He knew this was the only way to save everyone. He jumped across and luckily caught hold of a pipe. He tied one end of the rope and started climbing upward. One of his cousins, shocked to see this, started live streaming Lee's attempt on his phone. As Lee kept going up, the rope ended. This meant he had to untie the rope from his body and continue climbing without safety. It was life-threatening, but Lee didn't stop. Without caring about his own safety, he untied the rope and began climbing higher. Eventually, he reached the top. There was a big lion statue of the hotel's logo, which he grabbed onto. Though exhausted, Lee knew that just one step of his could save many lives. Gathering all his strength, he pulled himself up onto the rooftop and unlocked the door from outside. Everyone rushed to the rooftop, Now they had real hope because helicopters could rescue them from there. Everyone turned on their phone flashlights to signal for help, but from such height, they could not be seen. Yui suggested that they should form the shape of an H using their positions and then turn on their flashlights, as H stood for help. They followed her idea, but still, the helicopter couldn't see them because their phone lights weren't strong enough. Then Yui realized something. She went downstairs and made the hotel's large billboard blink, which successfully caught the attention of the rescue helicopter. Soon, a helicopter arrived, making everyone happy. A safety platform was lowered, and one by one, people boarded it. But when it was Lee and Wee's turn, the platform became overloaded, so they could not board at that time. The helicopter carried the rest, while Lee and Yui remained stuck. Meanwhile, the gas was rising higher, so they couldn't wait there. They wore masks and covered their whole bodies before leaving the rooftop. Running through the toxic, smoke-filled streets, where nothing was visible except gas and haze, they kept moving. They reached another building rooftop, but the gas had already risen there too. They realized that they needed to climb an even taller building. Their masks were almost expired, filled with toxic fumes, but they still had one spare mask left. Looking ahead, they spotted another building. They tied a rope and threw it across to that building. Since Y was lighter, she went first and successfully reached. Then it was Lee's turn, and though the gas had already reached there, his mask protected him. From there, they saw many children trapped in another building, crying for help. They used lights to form an arrow so the rescue team could notice. Soon, a helicopter came and rescued the children. They hoped it would come back for them too. Unfortunately, a nearby gas station exploded, spreading the gas even faster. They saw a tall tower ahead, and to save themselves, they ran toward it. They hugged each other, thinking this might be their end, and confessed their hidden feelings. A drone was recording them live, broadcasting to the whole city. Soon other drones came, dropping ropes for them. They tried to cross, but the ropes loosened midway, forcing them to cut one. The other rope also slipped, and they fell down. Watching this, the whole city, who had been watching them live, was heartbroken because these two had bravely saved many lives. Just when it seemed over, the rescue helicopter spotted two figures hanging on a crane. They were Lee and Wee, who had survived the fall. They were finally rescued and taken to safety. Later, Wee's boss, who always flirted with her, tried to make advances again, but this time, Wee slapped him and quit her job. The government began spraying water over the entire city, knowing water was the only way to neutralize the gas. Finally, heavy rain began to pour down, signaling that the gas would soon clear from the city. Lee, who always liked Uai but never admitted it, stood with her, realizing she too loved him deeply. With the rain washing away the poison, the film came to an end. So friends, I hope you liked this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. See you in our next amazing video.